Okay. How are we doing, everybody? Libb Thims here with Mirza, day 4 of our monumental interview. The universe has slowed down for 4 days while we engage in dialogue. So the first 3 days we've spent and covered through the bulk of the main points of his 1987 book, New Dimensions in Sociology, a Physico-Chemical Approach to Human Behavior. So now we're in the 4th and final day of our interview, and we're going to do 3 things today. First, we're going to take a look at the Mirza citation rank here. It's 170, which means since his work was discovered in 2014, his influence in HMLPD has grown to the fact that he's been cited on 170 different articles out of the 5,000 articles of HMLpedia in respect to his theories discussed in the context of other theories or key terms or subjects within the subject of physical-chemical humanities or human chemical thermodynamics in general. So we're going to look at that first for about 2 hours. Then we're going to take a look at we had another dialogue for 2 months in 2014 that involved 160 thread posts between him and I. We're going to take a review those discussions, and then for about 2 hours, and then we're going to spend 2 hours discussing Mirza Big's ideas on physical-chemical theology and his views on physical-chemical theory in respect to the Quran and Allah, his belief in God. And then we'll summarize. We'll give a little, we'll each say about 5 minutes of what we've learned from our dialogue, from his point of view and my point of view, and then we'll see you online. So first, right here, we've got we're going to take a look at a citation rank. First one here is Pointfullness. And these are all, we're going through these citations using Google search, key term Mirza EOHT.info. So these are all, the order we're going through is the way they're ranked in according to Google. So right here we have what's called the Pointfullness model. And that this is the opposite of the Pointlessness model. We have that in when you get into belief arguments. Once you decide that Mirza believes in God named Allah, the God of the Islamic belief, and alternatively, there's those who don't believe, who are non-believers. Some non-believers will say that without God, everything is pointlessness. There's no point to anything. So we have the Pointfullness model as compared to the Pointlessness model. So Mirza Big is when he's speaking about, when we see his reaction coordinate right here, this is called Gibbs free energy, the initial state, and the bottom well corresponds to a point at the minimum of the free energy. And this is another point at the top of the activation energy barrier, and this is another point at the bottom of the Gibbs free energy final state for different sociological transformations. This is a Pointfullness model. So now we're going to take a look at, just to give our concepts here of what the Pointlessness model is. So Steven Weinberg is the leading propagator of the Pointlessness model. And he's the one who won the Nobel Prize for driving the weak force model of the weak force of the nucleus. So right here, Steve Weinberg here in his 1977 book, The First 3 Minutes, which he tries to explain how the first 3 minutes of the universe exploded. He says, and he concludes that some cosmologists are philosophically attracted to the oscillating model, especially because of the steady state model. It nicely avoids the problem of genesis. It does, however, face one severe theoretical difficulty, and that in each cycle, the ratio of photons to nuclear particles, or more precisely, the entropy per nuclear particle is slightly increased by a kind of friction known as bulk viscosity. As the universe expands and contracts, as far as we know, the universe would then start each new cycle with a new, slightly larger ratio of photons to nuclear particles. So right now this ratio is large, but not infinite. So it is hard to see how the universe could have previously experienced an infinite number of cycles. So then he goes down here, and he says, however, all these problems may be resolved, and whichever cosmological model proves correct, there is not much of comfort in any of this. It is almost irresistible for humans to believe that we have some special relation to the universe. What human life is not just a more or less farcical outcome of a chain of accidents reaching back to the first 3 minutes, but that we were somehow built in from the beginning. Kind of the fine-tuning constant argument is right here. He's saying that the universe was fine-tuned to create humans. He says, as I write this paragraph, I happen to be in an airplane at 30,000 feet flying over Wyoming en route from San Francisco to Boston. And he says, below the earth looks very soft and comfortable. Fluffy clouds are here and there, snow turning pink as the sun sets, roads stretching straight across the country from one town to another. It is very hard to realize that this is all just a tiny part of an overwhelming, hostile universe. It is even harder to realize that this present universe has evolved from an unspeakably unfamiliar early condition and faces in a future extinction in an endless cold or intolerable heat. So he's either talking about heat death or somehow the expansion of the sun. And his concluding statement is, the more the universe seems comprehensible, the more the universe seems pointless. So he's just, this caught on to everybody, and people started believing that according to modern physics, the modern physicists have decided the universe is pointless. So going back to big here, here we see 3 different models. They're all the same. They're all based on free energy theory. So Harold Blum here says that humans have evolved from small molecules growing larger in size to small tree shrews upwards, through apes through into humans, and he calls this model chemical planation. And he uses the Willard-Gibbs free energy theories to show that we can make these 3-dimensional phase diagrams, similar to what you were talking about in phase, your phase model of sociology. So he published this in 1934. Then we have Adrian DeLange in 2001. He developed what's called free energy landscapes, and that swing from the past to the future. For example, if you have species A interacting with species B, they go over this peak he defines as low entropy peak, and this is free energy on the vertical, and time on the or forward reaction on the horizontal. And he says 2 species A and B can go over the free energy map and react in time, go over the free energy barrier and form species A, B. And so these are points. Minimum point corresponds to the future, and you could reverse backward if you don't make it over the free energy barrier into states of high entropy, says right here at the bottom, or states of low entropy at the top. And then Mirza Big has the same model here from 1987, as we just talked about, whereas species can react from higher unstable free energy initial points to lower stable free energy final points. So Mirza, what is your opinion about you here? What is your opinion in respect to those who say the universe is pointless versus for example, you three here who say that the universe has points and pointfulness? What's your? Do you have any comment on this?
Well, my point of view is that the cosmos was created as a process of exchange of energy from one type to another.
Mm-hmm.
The nuclear energy in this particular case at the Big Bang, that is split into protons, and those were the only particles that tremendous amount of heat. That then start nucleation. That nucleation has formed into various units of the universe. And then how life came about, we do not know. But what happened there was at the hadron, when it was all hot, it started, the protons started reacting with what was solid was around. And therefore, at that time, the protons reacted with the carbonate or with the silicate and got the oxygen so as to form water. Here the whole thing started.
Mm-hmm.
And the protons reacted with the silicate, oxygen of the silicate or the carbonate of the silicate or whatever. That formed the water.
Mm-hmm.
That was the initial stage. Then it started cooling. I put down a number of equations in which how the nitrides would be formed and how the carbides would be formed, and then how the hydrocarbons would be formed.
Okay.
So it all started here, but it had to much of the activation energy had to be put in.
Okay.
At that time, the activation energy was only radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Light is what is governing, and light is the equations for light, the theories about light, and the properties of light are the same, and it governs light. Light
Okay.
is electromagnetic radiation.
Well, okay, I agree with what you're saying there. But the point that Steven Weinberg is saying in his book there, he's talking about the future. So he's talking not about the past. So he says that when he says the universe is pointless, he's talking about the future right here. He said this is the past. So let's say you and I are right here in 2014. You are A and I am B, and we swing. We've got the universe is moving us over these free energy surfaces, and now here we are over the activation. I've come over to Pakistan, flew over here, got my visa, and now we're together here chemically reacting. So, but now he says, Weinberg says that the future is pointless. So when you get up in the morning, there's no point to even do anything. You should just sleep in your bed and just do nothing, because there's no, according to modern physics and chemistry, there's no point to anything. So he's talking about the future. So what is your opinion about that?
No, let me talk about this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Or about this stage.
Mm-hmm.
In the first instance, there would be exchange of energy and exchange of material, transformation of energy into material. After the material has taken place, then it starts there should be so much of energy has been put in, so that the galaxies and all of them, they form, and then it precipitates and it cools down and it's like the. So the order has been created.
Mm-hmm.
Order has been, at this stage, it is all disorder.
Yeah.
And here when it gets sufficient energy, then order is created out of disorder.
Okay.
So this is the ordered state, this is the disordered state,
Mhm.
this is the initial state, this is the disordered state, and this is the ordered state.
Okay.
That's how it is taking place.
Okay, so just to speak using the word point, you're saying we go from in the universe from certain points of this is what kind of order? You said this is disorder here, a point of disorder, maximal disorder, and this is a point of order. And
This is the point of
and these cycles repeat.
Yeah.
So we go from points of disorder to order.
There will be a number of meta-stable states.
Mhm.
And those meta-stable states start when the galaxies they start moving,
Okay.
they start evolving.
Okay.
And then the solar system forms and the planets they start moving around. They didn't move around, and there is interaction of the solar system with the galaxies, and the galaxies interacting with the suns or the planets in their turn.
Okay. So to summarize, according to your view, the universe is full of points. There's points of disorder, there's points of order, there's metastable points, and then these cycles the reactions go up again to another points of disorder, metastable states, and then points of order. And this is an ongoing process.
That's
So
it.
that the universe is full of points, and from this point of view, Stephen Weinberg is wrong, that the universe is not pointless. So now I'll go to the next citation here. Let's see here. So now, we already talked about how you're cited in human chemical thermodynamics. Now we're going to see what you have to say about the soul. So here's the Egyptian model of the soul. This was in about 2500 BC. The soul is here in the heart, and Anubis here is weighing the heart against the feather of truth, and he's adjusting the scale to find out whether your soul is heavy or light. And according to Konstantin Volny, he said the concept of the soul was invented by the Egyptians and then propagated in Greece by men who pretended to be its authors. And then he says, I know their names, adds he, but shall not mention them. And then Cicero specifically says, he positively informs us that it was Pericles, the teacher of Pythagoras, was the one that invented the concept, took the concept from the Egyptians and brought it to Greece. And that got past the Romans and got past the Middle Eastern culture. So so supposedly in 450 BC, Pericles was the one that in his he was the one that. So then down here, of course, we have Rene Descartes. He says that the soul is in the pineal gland, which is in the back of our head. And then Johann Helmont, in his Ortus Medicine, situated the soul, or the world soul, in the upper part of the stomach. And these are just a few examples here. Giovanni Lancisi placed the seat of the soul in the corpus callosum, the fiber that connects the two parts of your cerebral hemisphere. Now here's thermodynamics. So just to give one example, Norbert Wiener says that he says, in his opinion, according to thermodynamics, it is best, in my opinion, to avoid question-begging epithets such as life, soul, vitalism, and the like, and merely to say that humans, machines and humans are pockets of decreasing entropy in a framework in which larger entropy is increasing. So he kind of dismisses the problem. He says we shouldn't talk about these words and just avoid them. So we're going to see what Big has to say about this here. Mirza's down here. Where's the Big? Up here. So here we are. Mirza's conception of the soul in humans and crystals in terms of chemical thermodynamics. So in your 2016 Socio-Physical Theory of Creation of the Universe, which you published on academia.edu, you say that a living system is energized with a soul, comprised of free energy and entropy. And the soul acts as the driving force for all forward reactions and interactions, while entropy retards the forward reactions. So let's just stop at this point and explain, take a look what you mean by this here. You say the living system is energized with a soul, comprised of free energy and entropy. So you say the soul is what acts as, soul is behind the free energy, is that correct? And that entropy retards the soul, is that right?
Well, what I intend to say here is that life is, or soul is the driving force of into a system that has been created as life. Life itself is only a driving force, a quantum of energy that has been personified.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in personification, there is some amount of energy induced. That induction is soul. That gives the driving force. The quantum of the energy with which it is charged, the quantum of energy with which it is charged is all computerized. It has a different program laid out for each set quantum. Now that quantum is acting according to the laws of thermodynamics.
Mm-hmm.
The pressure, the temperature, and the concentration, everything that governs the oligoty properties, the colligative properties, they are the same in the case of humans as in the case of the dehumanized system. The dehumanized system is a humanized system is charged. A dehumanized system is charged with a soul, so that it can go according to the program later on when it is conceived.
Okay, just to, what was your definition of dehumanized system again? What is an example of a dehumanized system? You're saying those are smaller, like hydrogen is, oxygen is a dehumanized system?
Yeah.
So things smaller than a certain level are dehumanized?
Yeah.
And what is the dividing line? Where's the cutoff that defines what are dehumanized systems and what are humanized systems?
All right. Let's go back to the original system when the Earth is formed. There will be a number of metastable states,
Mm-hmm.
and at each metastable state, there is a variation of energy, and the variation of energy depends on where the solar system or a certain galactic system is located. So there have been about 16 to 22 revolutions that have taken place. The last one is the Holocene, and that's where life of the type of the sapiens Homo sapiens, that may have occurred. So if we are talking about man, it is during the Holocene stage.
Okay. One question. You have a number of cats here, right? Cats? Your pussy cat? Your cat?
Yeah,
A little
yeah,
cat?
yeah.
Does the cat have a soul?
Cat is,
Does the cat have a... Does your pussy cat have a soul?
it has a soul, yes.
It does?
It has a soul.
Okay.
Every living creature has a soul.
Mhm.
Even if a soul gives the reproduction as well as reproduction as well as continuation in the lifestyle.
Okay. So
So
what
it
is
acts
your...
as the driving force.
So let's talk about your belief is the soul in respect to free energy. Now is the soul is what makes the free energy, or is the free energy what makes the soul? The free energy change.
It's an inborn system. Let's say
Which one comes first, the soul or the free energy change?
the energy change is brought about by soul.
Mm-hmm.
Soul is the driving force.
Soul is the driving force.
Soul is the driving
But
force.
yesterday you said that free energy is the driving force.
Yes, free energy is the driving force.
So
yes.
free energy and the soul are driving force.
Free, let's say soul is the free energy.
Soul is the free energy.
Soul is the free energy.
I thought you said before that the will of Allah was the free energy.
Soul is a quantum of energy that has been charged with that is a quantum of energy that has the system a program. It has been charged with a program to act according to.
Okay, what about...
It's like a computer.
What about the will of Allah? I remember you telling me something back in 2014 that you believe that the will of Allah is the free energy. So now you have three things.
Allah is the source.
Mhm.
Allah is energy infinite.
Mhm.
Allah is energy infinite.
Mhm.
He got a quantum of energy, a finite quantum of energy, and charged it with so many dimensions.
Mhm.
And each dimension has taken its own form according to the laws, which we call internal laws, and the internal laws are almost just the same as the laws of chemistry, laws of thermodynamics.
Okay, let me bring up a diagram and then I'm going to ask you a question about where the soul comes in with respect to the birth of a baby. So let me bring up the diagram. Okay, so here we have formation of a human. So this is the old model they used to teach the people in America when they're children.